My name's Tony Chytka. I live in Belfast, South Dakota. I've been a sculptor probably just about all my life that I can honestly say. I started out doing artwork in a country school. On Friday afternoons we had an art class. I grew up in Yankton, South Dakota. I was born and raised. When I got to 8th grade, graduated on to high school where we were fortunate enough to have art classes. In my senior year, we were introduced to sculpting, which is the first time I'd ever gotten off the flat surface two-dimensional paper and actually seeing the piece of artwork stand up in three-dimensionally and stand around it. I got just so caught up in that I began sculpting all the time. And in those days, we didn't have a lot of the plastiline and the different clays that they have today, so we used a greenware clay, and the greenware was the same thing that they used for pottery. So while other people were making pots, I was sitting there trying to do little figurines and making little bucking horses and those kinds of things. And it took a little while for them to figure out how to hollow them out so that they wouldn't explode, because you're not a very popular person when one of your pieces explodes inside a kiln with a bunch of other students' works that they're trying to get grades on. So it took a little while to get that figured out, but it actually paid my way through college doing those clay sculptures. It was the only medium at the time that I had to work with. Casting just seems like it was miles away and didn't know anything about it, and at that time there just weren't the foundries around. Some of the earlier clay pieces I did were in a display in Wall Drug that Bill Husted had purchased from me, and there's just kind of a rodeo history, and I go back and look at them now, and they were done a long time ago. But they're in a long case there in the restaurant, and I kept working those kind of things. I'd do Hamill's Western Store in Rapid City when I was going to college, and Bill down there, in those days, he'd display my clay pieces, and I'd sell one here and there, and it actually paid my way through college. And in the meantime, while I was going to college, I started to go to the foundries in Loveland. That's when I first heard about them. And I would go to Deadwood and to the old hotel there on Main Street on the corner, and I'd put my wax sculptures in a insulated box, wrapped it paper, crunched paper, and then put them on the bus, and then they'd go on bus down to Loveland, and then when they get them at the foundry, then they'd cast them and send them back. And sometimes they didn't make the trip too well, and the waxes got kind of broken up, and they'd put them together when they got them down there, and sometimes when I got a piece back, it was a whole new piece. I didn't even recognize it, but that was just kind of some of the things I went through. But I traveled around to different foundries in Arizona and worked in a little foundry in Bozeman for a while, and then I came back and started doing my own casting in '84. And all that time I was also rodeoing. I rodeoed for the college and got my professional card, and the circuit system had started up, and some of the first things I did for awards for our Badlands Circuit finals up in Bismarck, and some of the first years of the circuit system, I did every event. Those were fired ceramic pieces back then. I put glass cases over it to kind of protect them. Then I got into more of the bronzes. We started with the Black Hill Stock Show in Rapid City. They started the Wrangler bullfights back in it would have been the latter 70s, and started doing those every year, and it was sponsored by Wrangler, and I worked with Wrangler for some 20 years during that bullfight event, which brought me to going to the National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma City while I was still a senior in high school. And through that and being a competitor, I started to pick up different commissions, and the Coors Man in the Can Award, and then later on Wrangler with the Rodeo Announcer of the Year Award. And it just kind of snowballed, and I just stuck with what I knew about, which was the rodeo, and having known it from about every angle, I guess I could depict it pretty good. So later, just kept doing the rodeo themes and commissions, and some of the later commissions I've done the outside bronzes in front of the Casey Tibbs Rodeo Center in Fort Pierre, which is of the 3 winningest bronc riders in South Dakota: Casey Tibbs, Billy Bauer, and Clint Johnson. The Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, Colorado Springs. I've got 9 pieces there in the garden area and inside the hall, and some of those are rodeo events and bullfighters. And I did the Charlie Sampson bull riding bronze. He was the first black world champion bull rider from California. There's also a piece of Marvin Garrett. There's also a few of the awards on a bigger scale that are presented each year for Coors and Wrangler, also on display there. And so every year I've been going to the National Finals Rodeo. Now it's moved to Las Vegas, and I show there at the South Point. A couple of the awards that I do are for the contract personnel banquet, which is the first Wednesday night. I do a couple of Remuda awards for the PRCA, which is the Rodeo of the Year and also the Contractor of the Year, and then also the Donita Barnes Lifetime Achievement Award. So it kind of keeps me in the loop, and I get to still go. It doesn't replace rodeo, but it's probably about the next best thing.